To protect the identity of all involved, I am not going to mention any names. Just generic titles. I hope you all understand. So, recently my daughter's father has started acting like a complete lunatic. It started off with little insults here and there, hidden among our conversations about our daughter, which I tried to ignore, because I knew he had just lost the woman he loved, and also left me pregnant for, and abandoned his daughter for the first 3 years of her life for. But I get it. It sucks to lose someone you love. So I ignored it for as long as I could anyway. But this last summer was the absolute worst. I lost half of my visitation time simply because he couldn't have been bothered to actually drop her off when he was supposed to. Our court-ordered custody agreement stated that we have joint custody, which means we are both allowed to have equal say in her education, her medical decisions, and her religion. It also has a clause in there that I specifically requested that neither party shall disparage the other, because he has a nasty way of talking to me that is just beyond rude, and it makes co-parenting nearly impossible, which you will come to understand shortly. It also states that both parents should be allowed communication with the child with no restrictions, which he also violated when he refused to allow her to use the phone I bought her to call me. And it says that drop-off time should be as follows. Her father shall have her during the weekdays while school is in session to ensure she is able to be close to the larger part of her family, as at the time we viewed that as what would be best for her, since I have no family here. When school is out of session, that schedule flips. Now the court specifies that she is to be dropped off no later than 6 p.m. on Friday night at my house during the summer. But nearly every week, I would find myself waiting until Wednesday at the wee hours of the night, before I would be able to see my daughter's beautiful, smiling little face. So after nearly an entire summer of his shenanigans, I had enough. I was beyond pissed off. So the next time he was late, I decided to call the local sheriff on him for contempt of court. Keep in mind, he was nearly 2.5 hours late. He only lives 30 minutes away on a bad day. And when the sheriff called him, he admitted he hadn't even started getting her ready, and they were still at the house just watching movies, which means he had absolutely zero intention of dropping her off when he was supposed to, and not likely it would have even been that day. The sheriff told me he would make a note of it on his report that it was obvious he had no intention of dropping her off. Keep in mind, the sheriff didn't even go to his house. All he did was give him a call. Now the day I made the call went without a hitch once the sheriff lit a fire under his ass. But it was probably because he didn't know if the sheriff was in hiding and watching what he was doing. But the next week, all hell broke loose. He showed up at my house, pounding on my door like some crazed lunatic, screaming obscenities at me, making horrible threats, and demanding I let him into my apartment. Obviously, I refused. I'm not going to let someone behaving that way into my only safe space. The worst part about all of it tough was he had our daughter with him during all of this. She saw and heard everything he said to me that day. And man, it did a number on her. My heart breaks that she had to see and hear that nastiness. She told me he pushed her out of the way when she tried to stop him, and nearly knocked her down the stairs. When she, my daughter, was finally able to make it inside my apartment, she told me that he punished her after I had to call the cops on her as though SHE was somehow responsible. I just gave her a big hug, and told her it wasn't her fault, and that I am sorry that her father did that to her. If I had known he was going to take it out on her, I probably would have thought twice about calling the cops. But I can't help but feel his doing that is some attempt at ensuring that I don't call the cops again. His way of intimidating me by taking it out on her every time I have to do something like that. My choice to call the cops was not made lightly. I want to make that very clear. I endured this behavior from him almost the entire summer before I lost my patience with it all. I kept making excuses for him, that he was suffering the loss of his girlfriend, and that eventually he would go back to normal, but sadly, it's only been getting worse. Now last week he tried to have me removed from her school-approved visitors list so I wouldn't be able to appear there after the teacher requested a meeting with the two of us. After I informed the teacher that I would be attending, my phone blew up with texts from her father about how he isn't going to allow me to attend, and that he was going to have me removed from the visitors list, because my disabilities are an embarrassment to him. How he doesn't want to be seen in public with me, and how the very idea of it gives him anxiety. Real nice, huh? Not like I can help being disabled, and I was disabled when he met me. Not like anything changed that much since he chose to make our daughter with me. But I digress. Then this weekend he dares to drop her off in nothing but a short t-shirt, and tights, not stretch pants, but actual tights you were supposed to wear under a dress, with a huge gaping hole in the crotch and her underwear just hanging out of them. When I dared to bring up how inappropriate it was for him to drop her off in such clothing, He started berating me for things he perceived as bad parenting, but was actually just me preparing her for what is going to be happening to her body soon, as her family is known for early onset puberty. Her aunt got her first menstrual cycle at 9 years old, and I went through it at 10 if you can imagine, and since my daughter is currently 8, I wanted her to be properly prepared for it and not blindsided like I was. But apparently that is me being kid in the head, according to him. I honestly don't see how I did anything wrong in preparing her for a potential early transition into womanhood. I think what I did isn't nearly as bad as what he did. He took her out in public like that. It had to have been awfully embarrassing for her. Anyway, I'm just looking for some advice on how I should handle all this. It has had me so overwhelmed lately, and I need to find some kind of solution that won't hurt my daughter, or at least minimize the hurt as much as humanly possible. I understand a situation like this isn't likely to be solved without some kind of sacrifice/compromise, if it's even possible to compromise with him at this point. I dunno, but I'm hoping that someone out there might have gone through something similar, and found a way to make it all work somehow, that maybe might be able to give me some advice on how to deal with all of this insanity. I thank anyone who may comment in advance for taking the time out of their day to respond. I will do my best to answer any questions you may have, if there is anything that I may have not made clear enough, or maybe been too vague about. I was trying to tell the story as quickly as possible, but it is kind of a long one. And for that I apologize. TLDR, my daughter's father has been consistently violating our court-ordered custody agreement in an attempt to keep my daughter from me, saying nasty things about me in front of her, and even going as far as causing a huge scene at my house in front of our daughter, and dressing her in clothes that has her underwear showing in public. Discover the art of retribution with Couples and Chronicles. Step into a realm where betrayal meets its match, and every wrong is righted with cunning precision. Couples and Chronicles is your go-to channel for captivating audio stories that unravel the tangled webs of deceit, favoritism, and broken trust. Our tales dive deep into the heart of human conflict, love turned sour, loyalties tested, and injustices laid bare. Feel the sting of betrayal and the thrill of comeback as our characters navigate heartbreak and rise to reclaim their power in ways that will leave you speechless. With every story, we celebrate the resilience of the human spirit and the satisfaction of justice served. Join Couples and Chronicles for narratives that grip your soul and remind you, revenge is sweetest when it's deserved. Disclaimer: all stories on this channel are fictional creations created for entertainment. While they are inspired by universal human X.